We're trying to update this list as we go, but go ahead and flesh this one, John. These are the guys that are still out there, still yet to be traded. Mitch Keller in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's kind of gutted their team, but the storyline as of early this morning was that the Pirates are not taking offers on Mitch Keller anymore. It's a lot of pressure points on that ownership. Quit trading all your kids away. Stop the rebuild and start the build. You got Paul Skeens, you got Mitch Keller. They got 3 kids in their farm system that are really good minor league pitchers that seem to be on the way to PNC Park. Mitch Keller's, I don't think, is going to be traded. Zac Gallen is still out there. The guy's a warrior. Arizona Diamondback, frontline starting pitcher, having a tough year. Has lost a little bit of the velocity he's had. He's had some good starts more recently, but overall his ERA is really high. I'm surprised he's not been moved, but maybe scouts see the same thing I see. He's just not the same force-dominant pitcher that he was. Merrill Kelly, I think, is a remarkable story. You know, he's starter number 2 in Arizona behind Zac Gallen. Merrill Kelly, he was a failure. He went to Japan. He reinvented himself. He came back a pitcher. He came back a scientist. He's a really good pitcher, trustworthy pitcher, doesn't break down. He's not throwing 102, but he's rock solid. I'm surprised, since Arizona's trading so many people away, that he has not yet been traded. Sandy Alcantara in Miami, he's starting to show flashes of what he was prior to the second elbow surgery, but just maybe people just are not interested in taking a gamble on him. We talked about Dustin May. He might be a Dodger bargaining chip. Suarez still out there. I don't think the Padres are going to trade him. I think this is all a grand scheme now. Padres got more relievers who can pitch than they actually have starting pitchers who can pitch.
Right.
I think the grand scheme, as I said, is I think the Padres keep Cease and they keep Suarez, try to get to the finish line and maybe go deep into the World Series, and then let those guys walk, because that'll clear $24 million off the books next season. Maybe that's how this is going to wind up. David Bednar of Pittsburgh was just traded. He went to the Yankees for 3 prospects. One of them is their top young catcher, so Pittsburgh's gotten rid of their closer. So those are the pitchers on the left-hand side of the column. On the right-hand side, I'm not sure what is fact, what is fiction. I was told just before I got here that the Padres were trying to engineer a 3-way deal to get access to get Duran or Kwan. They were trying to find a team that would take Dylan Cease as part of a 3-cornered trade in which the Padres would wind up either with the Red Sox left fielder or the Cleveland Guardians left fielder. The problem is the Padres didn't have other stuff to throw into the trade because AJ's traded the whole farm system away. So it may well be that Duran is going to stay, although I was told Suarez is of great interest in Boston, but there's got to be more in the transaction. I'm not sure that Boston wants Cease. But I don't think the Padres have been able to find a third team. The Cubs were in the hunt. They were talking. Boston was talking. Part of a 3-way deal. Toronto was talking. But see, some of these other teams have now made trades to go get other starting pitchers. The Nolan Arenado thing is unresolved. There was a report that Arenado had told the Cardinals he would waive the no-trade clause and accept a deal this time to Houston. He had killed a deal at the winter baseball meetings, but that deal has gone by the boards because Carlos Correa has just been traded back to Houston from the Minnesota Twins. So Arenado may be stuck in St. Louis. Luis Robert, I don't think anybody wants to inherit the contract in which they'd be on the hook for $20 million next year and $20 million the year after for a guy that's has hit 206 the last 2.5 seasons. O'Hearn just got traded to the Padres. Yandy Diaz of Tampa Bay is being shopped. He's a first baseman. His name has been mentioned to the Boston Red Sox. So those are hot candidates that are still out there. Now, John, let me go to my scoreboard here of the transactions that have been made. And as I said, 43 trades have been made since last Thursday, started with, obviously, the Josh Naylor Arizona to Seattle transaction. Last night, the Mariners got Eugenio Suarez, the power-hitting third baseman. They brought him back to Seattle. So you got Naylor and you got Suarez, which changes that batting order.
Oh yeah,
unbelievably.
They need hitting there
for the M's. The Mets, they were miserable here when the Padres just jumped down their throat and ran them out of town, beating them 3 straight. The Mets trading last night for Ryan Helsley, the Cardinal closer, trading for Tyler Rogers, the San Francisco Giants setup guy, and prior to that, having traded for left-handed reliever Greg Soto of the Baltimore Orioles. And the Mets have had a lot of pitching problems and a lot of bullpen problems. But suddenly, that pitching staff, that bullpen, I mean, they've added 3 relievers to go with Diaz for the Mets. In Philadelphia, they went out and they got the Twins closer, Jarron Duran. They got him. And then Philadelphia, which is kind of iffy defensively in the outfield, went and got Harrison Bader from Minnesota. Kind of took him away because that was one of the guys the Dodgers were targeting. So Philadelphia, which is always active in terms of acquiring pitcher, and that's Dave Dombrowski's MO. They go out and get Duran, who throws gas from Minnesota. Toronto got Sir Anthony Dominguez, setup relief pitcher. That should help them. Then they traded for Sean Biebers, came from the Cleveland Guardians, who has been on rehab. He's pitched pretty well on his rehab assignments. He's hardly pitched the last 2 years because of all the surgeries. Cincinnati, in a bit of a surprise, they needed pitching, and instead they went out and got Ke'Bryan Hayes, the really good defensive third baseman from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So that's going to fill a hole for the Cincinnati Reds. It's kind of interesting. Pirates trading an established guy in their division. The Yankees have had just problem after problem defensively. They went out and traded for Ryan McMahon, the first baseman of Colorado. They got the glove guy shortstop, Ahmed Rosario, ex-Met, ex-Dodger, ex-Tampa Bay. Then they traded for David Bednar, and they just traded for Jake Bird, another setup closer from Colorado. So the Yankees have really been active. Boston so far has made only one transaction, and that's Steven Matz. He came from the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a setup guy. Of course, everybody's been calling him on Duran, but it would have to be a big haul for that trade to happen. Detroit has hit the reset button on their pitching staff. You know, Detroit went through this really bad spell. At one point, they had lost 12 of 14 in the last couple of weeks. They got Chris Paddock of the Minnesota Twins. They traded for Kyle Finnegan, the pseudo closer from Washington. They just traded for Paul Sewald, a setup right-handed reliever from Cleveland. They traded for Rafael Montero, setup reliever from Atlanta. And they traded for Randy Dobnak, kind of a fringe starting pitcher, long reliever. He came from Minnesota. And in terms of the Cubs, I thought they'd be more active than this. Of course, there's still time for them to do something. The Cubs got Mike Soroka, starting pitcher from Atlanta, who'll be a back of a rotation guy. And they got Andrew Kitteridge, a setup reliever from the Orioles. As I said, as we took the air and the Padres made that last deal, 43 trades since last Thursday. John, there's a lot of names I threw at you, but go ahead, pick and choose, talk about what you want.
I think I saw recently that Cedric Mullins was just sent to the Mets too. I mean, so everything's breaking right now. It's just hard to keep track of all the moving pieces. You know, the Mariners look really good. I mean, think about that. I mean, you got like the home run champ and Cal Raleigh there. You got Randy Arozarena. You've got the 2 new guys in Suarez and Naylor.
And you got Rodriguez.
Yeah, Julio Rodriguez, yeah.
And you've got 5 really good young starting pitchers. Now, they've had some injury issues this year for the first time. 3 of those 5 guys are on the DL for chunks of the season. No, Seattle, no doubt Seattle's the real deal. So you got Seattle there, and you got Houston there. How about that divisional race?
Well, then there's still Bruce Bochy is sort of lingering out there, right? Kind of plotting.
Texas doesn't have enough players. Texas has got so many injuries, and they got such a high payroll because they spent it 2 years ago to be who they were.
So it's interesting to see, you know, who's going for it, who's, you know, planning for the future. I mean, that's the part of the deal with, you know, with the A's trade with the Padres. You know, DeVries, I mean, granted, Padres had to give up a lot, but that sets up really nicely for the Athletics when they go to Vegas and they're going to have a star they can build around. So they got to be feeling pretty good.
And they got a fun everyday lineup who hit the hell out of the ball. I don't know if they have enough pitching, but Soderstrom and all these other guys. Well, Nick Kurtz come out of nowhere this year.
Yeah.
and it's just hitting home runs all over the place. So, yeah, their everyday lineup's going to be kind of fascinating when they ever get to Vegas, whenever that stadium opens.
Plus, they're jumping over the fence, catching home run balls. Yeah. I mean, it's an exciting team. So you just love seeing all this, and you kind of like, you can see who's going for it, who's not. The Angels are a mystery, because they're in this sort of purgatory in the middle that they just can't get out of. So it's a fun time of the year that we see all of this movement. This is unlike any other trade deadline in any other sport. I mean, this is just, it's, to me, as a baseball fan, this is always one of my favorite days of the year.
Okay. We have covered a ton in the first half of this trading deadline show. When you need to know, we have the info. We do sports talk the way it should be done. So, inviting you early, pile in, pile on with opinions. Fans Forum chat box is open. The Padres have traded everything they own.
They have.
To get into the World Series this year. The blockbuster trade with the Orioles, in which they got 2 bats rather than 1. The unbelievable early morning deal to get Mason Miller, future starter from the Athletics, and then they went and got another catcher. So I think I'm excited about the potential of this roster. A little bit concerned, though. Man, you've churned the roster, and you got clubhouse chemistry that's really working, and now suddenly you got a lot of different people coming in the front door. And the understanding, there is no tomorrow. Got to be right now, because he traded the home farm system away.
A couple more comments on this. Like last year they went into that Dodger series, and the bullpen for the Dodgers, with all their analytics guys in the lefty-righty matchup, 24 shutout innings. So now the Padres suddenly have all of these relief arms, that they can bring out their high leverage guys. They got like about 6 of them in the bullpen. So maybe they think, hey man, we'll just roll with Randy Vasquez for 4 2/3.
That's right.
And then you've got all these other guys that'll go an inning at a time, So, and then by the way, that whole strategy about having Miller become a starter down the road, that it's creative, and I know you got to give AJ Preller credit. He's not doing things the traditional way, and he's breaking models. That's what makes him so awesome.
Oh, he's non-traditional. I'll guarantee you that.
He's an innovator. I mean, that's where it's a great time to be a Padre fan. I mean, just think about how bad it was decades ago.
Exactly. Padre fans, Dodger fans, Angel fans, and baseball fans, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. What you see, 43 trades. We just ran through virtually all the significant transactions. I don't think anybody else is doing that. I want you to join us. Fans Forum chat box coming up at the end, after we finish with the rest of the topics on the table.